in this moment, during this time, is not a coincidence. And it is also not a coincidence that the very forces that Zohran is up against in this race mirrors what we are up against nationally. Both an authoritarian, criminal presidency fueled by corruption and bigotry, and an ascendant right-wing extremist movement. And an insufficient, eroded, bygone political establishment, this time in the form of Andrew Cuomo, whose pursuit of power has blinded them from what that power is supposed to be used for in the first place, which is to aid and put the working people of America and
New York's First Stadium হাজার হাজার তরুণ যুবক তীব্র শীত উপেক্ষা করে অপেক্ষা করছেন জোহরান মামদানি কথা শোনার জন্য।
Fueled and funded by the same billionaire class whose apparent greatest fear is an equitable, affordable, and prosperous nation and city for all, not just the very few. But we have been here before as a city and a country, and we have won before, and we will win again on November 4th. Because it has always been in our nation's darkest chapters that our brightest lights emerge. And we, each and every one of us, whether we like it or not, are living history today. From our nation's beginning, American democracy has always reflected the struggle between humanity's highest and lowest natures, between subjects and citizens, the Confederacy and the Union, freedom and bondage, labor and capital rights and regime. And it is no different today. The struggle of our time today is the single most unjust concentration of wealth in the hands of the very few, unseen in our nation's history and the world's history. And it is a time such as this, in which demanding what should be considered the basic tenets of human dignity that is considered a radical and outlandish act. It is a time such as today when demanding affordable housing is considered a radical and outlandish act, that we can afford our lives, our groceries, our transit is considered an outlandish and radical act, that we accept our neighbor as ourselves, a radical and outlandish act. But we must remember, in a time such as this, we are not the crazy ones, New York City. We are not the outlandish ones, New York City. They want us to think we are crazy. We are sane. To demand an affordable and decent housing, a decent wage, the right to health care, that we pay to care for our people instead of the flattening of Palestinians and oppressed people abroad. It is basic and core humanity. That is why the election of Zohran is as important as our cause today. Childcare, buses, rent, and our rights. Here in New York City, it is the jewel and the center of all that is possible in America. And on November 4th, we will prove that today. We will prove it to the world, and we will prove it to the nation. And we will send a loud message to President Donald Trump that his authoritarianism is no good here. We will send a message that to ICE, that secret police do not belong here. everyday people throughout our city. Heroism like that we saw last week, a young woman in a polka dot dress When I think about what is happening throughout our nation today and what Donald Trump has even done reflected, symbolic of so much in his demolition of the White House and the East Wing. We see what he's doing to that, and we must let him know that this injustice, no matter what he's doing, that house doesn't belong to him, New York. It belongs to us. It belongs to the people of this country. And I want us all to remember and to know that the future, our future, is not determined by a despot in a house built by enslaved people. Our future will be determined not in a house built by slaves, but in a city built by freemen, in a city built by unionists and immigrants and suffragists. The bricks laid by working people, past, present, and future, the seamstresses and the unionists who paid for our rights in blood. This city was built by the Irish escaping famine, Italians fleeing fascism, Jews escaping Holocaust, Black Americans fleeing slavery and Jim Crow, Latinos seeking a better life, Native people standing for themselves, Asian Americans coming together in Queens, in Brooklyn, in the Bronx, in Manhattan, in Staten Island, in this country, in a vision to build the freest, toughest, and greatest city on earth, and we will not stop now, New York. It is no surprise. NYC, baby, NYC. It is no surprise to me, New York, that it is New York and that it is our great city that we, our city, have chosen to adorn ourselves with the nation's greatest monument to freedom, the Statue of Liberty. And she reminds us every day that the central commitment of America is an unconditional freedom, precisely of the kind that cannot be bought, that is available to the huddled masses yearning to be free. This is America, New York City. Don't let them tell you any different. Don't let them tell you that we are the exception. We are the rule. We are the standard. We are the acceptance. And we set the bar for America. I'm talking to you, Donald Trump. There has been a day before his presidency, and there will be a day after. And it belongs to us. Thank you, New York. I love you, New York. You have made my life possible, my mother's life possible, my father's life possible. All of our lives have been made possible by this great city and by our shared contract and bond to one another. And it is my honor tonight to introduce to you all another great born New Yorker. visit to the home of the great Eugene Debs. And I had the honor of presenting Senator Sanders last night with the National Eugene Debs Award, in which the foundation and the people who steward Debs's legacy have honored Senator Sanders as the foremost leader and advocate for labor and class struggle in the United States of America. And it remains such a great privilege and honor to call him a friend, a mentor, a treasured person that we have, and a New Yorker, that's right. And so I know we all love him so dearly. And so let's make sure that we give him the biggest rousing welcome that he receives this year in introducing Senator Bernie Sanders.
To the U.S. Congress. She is not only one of the great members of Congress, she is inspiring, working.
Okay, এখন বক্তব্য রাখতেছে স্যান্ডার্স, বার্নি স্যান্ডার্স। অসুবিধা নাই, এটা একসাথে করে দেবো পরে আমরা হয়তো।
Everybody knows
চলুক।
that a New York City mayor's race attracts a lot of attention. That's not new. It's the largest city in the country. You got 8 million people. Everybody is interested in what happens here. But this mayor's race, my friends, is different. It is not just the folks here in New York City who are paying attention. It's not just people all across our country who are watching this race. It is not just the President of the United States who seems to be very, very concerned about who wins this election. The truth is that people all over the world are paying attention to what will happen here a week from Tuesday. Now, why is that? Why has this campaign created such an unbelievable amount of interest, literally all over the world? And the answer is obvious. These are not normal times. This is not a normal election. This election takes place at a moment in American history when we have a rigged economy with more income and wealth inequality than we have ever had in the history of our country. This election takes place at a time when the wealthiest people in America have never ever had it so good, while 60% of people in our country are living paycheck to paycheck, struggling to pay their rent or mortgage, struggling to afford childcare or higher education for their kids, struggling to afford health care, struggling to afford decent quality food, struggling how to figure out how they will retire with some shred of dignity after working their entire lives. This election takes place when the United States of America, the wealthiest country in the history of the world, has one of the highest rates of childhood poverty and senior poverty of almost any nation. And when in this rich country, 800,000 Americans, including many veterans, are homeless. This election takes place at a time when we have a president who has given $1 trillion in tax breaks to the top 1%.